Welcome to SACCO Leadership Institute, Week 14, Harold Weaver Institute for Higher Learning. Hey, we're excited about today. We put a lot of thought and effort in today because it's really getting into the practical aspects of management. We've been talking about for a very long time the conceptual aspects of leadership and management, and we talked about the foundational principles. Know yourself, know your people, lead by example, always be fair. All those things are really important principles. But now we're getting into the management side of things, which is how do you get your job done, right? Now here's the good news about being a manager or supervisor. Want to know what the good news is? Okay, the good news is you can really make a difference. You know what the bad news is? You got to do it with people. That's the problem, right? My job would have been great for 30 years if I didn't have to deal with people, you know what I mean? I'd go home at night and say, this would be a great job if the only thing I had to do was handle paperwork, you know? But no, I had to deal with people all day. So handling people is an art form, right? Working with people is an art form. And the more you know about how you do that in an effective way, the better you're going to be as a supervisor or manager. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay, so here we go. The agenda today, we're going to discuss our homework. Hopefully we did our homework. We're going to review the daily checklist, which we talked about last week. We're going to discuss how the daily checklist is being used. And then we're going to introduce the weekly one-on-one performance improvement meeting, then our homework. So let's talk about our homework. Implement the daily checklist in your everyday routine. How did that go, sir?
It went quite well. Unfortunately, I didn't bring it, but I did do it last time around. Basically, what I did is I put priorities first, and it came down to a lot of what you guys said. I put the biggest things first, the things I needed to address, and there was things that I would address, just like frivolous things that would take up too much of my time. And there was a term that you used for that, and one that has stuck out in my mind thus far is like payroll discrepancies. Both of y'all separately have says you deal with that first. You drop what you're doing, you deal with that, because that's what's the most important. And I've been utilizing that lately and implementing that schedule. So I'll drop what I'm doing, I'll stop typing that email, pull that guy to the side, let's talk about it, and we get it done that much quicker. And Doug, anytime I send it to Doug, it's done. It's like, so on his end, it's magic. So I've been doing that. It's little things I've been implementing that are hopefully making me a better manager. Putting first things first, and trying to put out fires, and sometimes those fires can be just die out by themselves if you just give it some time.
You know, that's true. That's true. I'm going to go back to one thing you said, okay?
Sure.
And we're talking about payroll discrepancies, right? If you want to ruin morale or poison a sales environment, don't have a good policy towards taking care of pay discrepancies, right?
Well, we're doing pretty good, man. This
yeah.
Here is taking care of it. So.
Yeah, because I got to tell you something. I've told this story before. I had a guy come up to me with a pay discrepancy, and I had a project I was in my computer was writing for my boss. So I said, you know what, I'll take care of it just as soon as I get through with this. He walked out of my office right into my boss's office. He called me directly and said, what are you doing? I said, I'm finishing the project you wanted me to do. He says, no. You get up out of your desk right now and you go take care of that pay discrepancy because that's the top producer and he's entitled to your attention when it comes to his pay because that's important to him. It better be important to you. And that was a lesson I learned. I thought it was a valuable lesson, right? Okay, how about you? Did you implement a daily checklist?
Yes, I did.
How's that helping you, or is it not helping you?
It's helping me. It's building a better relationship between me and all my team members.
How so? How so?
Starting off by greeting everybody every morning, telling them what a good job they did the day before and what we can do the next day to improve that.
Okay, awesome.
And it also helped me be more organized, put me more in quality too by following the daily checklist. I have everything more organized and It just helps smooth out my daily life.
Awesome, awesome. How about you, sir?
Yeah, daily checklist, most definitely. It creates, like Steve is saying, like good order. Like you said, like when you come in, greeting every single person in your team, like it creates a good flow of the day. Every single person you come in, you greet them. They know that you're there, and just going over like Pamela, what she gave me some feedback on with my end of the day reports was like using the actual numbers to coach each person, like show them where they started. Like every single day, here's what you did yesterday. Give them a goal every single day. Like for me, it's 10 sales a day, at least 3 of them be dish. But they're not going to immediately snap into it. But showing them where they were and showing them their growth and like actually like putting it in front of them, for some reason it really puts their mind in perspective. Like wow, like here's where I was and here's where I'm going. And like some people have already hit, and just whenever they know they have a goal in mind. When there's something in place and they have somewhere to go, it just instead of just coming in and expecting, what am I going to do today? Like what's going to happen today? But now they know, and,
Okay.
and they push towards it whenever you have an end in mind and a goal in mind.
Okay, how about you, sir? How's it working for you?
Just they hit the nail on the head. The way that I look at it now, I work for the agents when I come in on Saturday and Sunday. I work for them. So my main thing is, what can I do for you to help you be more successful here? I mean, I'm here for you. It's as far as the organization thing, I feel is very important because you got to make sure that everything is where it needs to be in order you to effectively be able to help them. And so I agree with that.
Okay. A couple of things, guys, that I, were you going to say something?
No, I was just making a groan or something.
Oh, okay. All right. Just a couple of things that I noticed. I monitor some calls this week, and it appears to me, and I could be wrong about this, is that you guys are not monitoring everybody as tightly as I think we'd like for you to, right? I still find people out on the floor who aren't using the script. I think that that's kind of crazy because we've proven that if you use the script, you'll do better, right? And so people sort of get independent. I don't need the script. Well, you don't understand. I take other calls other than dish. No. You assume the dish. You assume Hopper Joey and work your way through that and let your customer tell you, right? So anyway, that's just something I wanted to say. You got anything to say about that, Mr. Weaver?
Yeah, I would agree. The calls we've been listening to, especially the trainees, we know how we communicated the script to them. We had one trainee this week, nowhere close to using the script. He's using the old crap out there. Thank you for holding. As soon as they answer the phone, you're going to need a credit card, debit card, and pass a credit check. Okay, how's that getting by us? How's that getting by us? And then, when we confront the agent with it, oh, yeah, well, it wasn't working for me. Okay, but when he was using the script, he was making sales. Now he ain't making no sales. That's not working.
We can avoid all that by what on the daily checklist. It says what? Monitor everybody in your team at least once per shift.
Right.
If you monitor every single person in your team at least once per shift, and you arbitrarily do it, and you just arbitrarily pick a call, what that does is that ensures better quality of the calls within your shift because they know you're going to monitor them, and if you do it religiously, they know you're going to listen to them at some point, so they're going to be more aware of what they're saying to the customer as a result of it. Does that make sense?
No reason why you can't monitor 3 people at once. I've showed most of you how to do it. It's awkward at first, but you can do it.
Who did this part of the homework? Well, let me hear yours, sir.
All right, so my brief report on coaching and counseling. All right, so I've noticed since I've been doing my daily coaching and going over my agents' numbers every day, it helps them see where they're at, where they need to be, and where they can be at, and what it's going to take to get them there the next day, as well as it helped me set some realistic goals as versus, I know everybody can't make 10 sales, but if it's a fairly new agent, I can set a smaller standard goal for them. And it makes the agents a lot more happier knowing that somebody's concerned about them daily, and they can always rely on me to check over and see how they're doing.
That's excellent. That's excellent. So are we in agreement that a daily checklist of some sort is valuable?
Absolutely.
Okay, so the next agreement then is that we need to agree as a team to follow that daily checklist and make sure that as a part of that, we monitor as a part of our everyday activities and duties. Now, let me go over that one more time, okay? When you're monitoring on a regular routine basis in an arbitrary way, right? Nobody knows who you're going to pick, but they know you're going to pick somebody, right? And you're going to get listened to as a sales rep at least once during the day. But you don't know when that time's coming, right? But you dread not doing it right. Well, because you dread not doing it right, you're going to do better, right? So if you consistently monitor every single person at least once during each, and it's a pain in the butt to do it, I'm telling you. If you do that, then the quality of your calls will go up. Plus, you'll catch the little bad habits early, right? When somebody dives off a cliff, you know, they're number 3 in the company. Next week, they're in the bottom 5. How did that happen? Right? It's either attitude, activity, or what? Skill set. Right? So you get in there, you dig in there, and you find out they're doing something silly, you know, like, hi, my name is Brew Harrell. How are you? I need your credit card. You know, people don't react well to that, you know?
Let me make it real easy for you. If you have agents here, you should be monitoring them.
Just a little bit of success because I've had some struggling agents, and I'm quite proud of them at this point because it has nothing to do with me. It's only with their, with themselves. So I have a certain number in that peak recently.
We call that the lower 5.
The danger zone. Danger zone.
Yeah.
So, I went ahead and said, okay, I'm going to coach you every day for 30 minutes every single day. And I have the distinct advantage of being at night, and about 9, between 8 and 9, I'm pretty good. I can handle taking people off. Well, I've taken these agents, and they went from the very bottom all the way to the very top. Okay, it was only because it was a matter of consistency, because we met every day, and every day they had a new question, and some of it had to do, or comments that had to do with what they had implemented. Hey, Marco, it worked. The script is working. I said this and this. So it's not a matter of just coaching every so often, and monitoring from abroad and hope everything goes well. No, it takes continuous coaching, you know, based on my experience thus far, so that, I don't know, all I know is I know if you continuously do it and you constantly give them attention, even a small amount, the feedback you give them and the feedback they give you, that exchange, something really happens there. And
It does.
The 2 I'm speaking of right now are Stephen Drake and Brandon Blazer.
Brandon Blazer, man, I can see what you've done.
I had to. I did one thing. I said, we're going to do the script, period. Okay, I cannot coach you if I don't know what you're doing. But if you're on the script,
exactly.
If you're on the script, I know whereabouts,
exactly.
where you're going wrong.
Yeah.
And we can coach on that specific area and move forward. And
yeah.
that plan has given this gentleman a shot, and I'm pretty happy.
Yeah, consistency, even consistent mistakes.
Correct.
It's much easier for a coach to point out, you know, how to fix that mistake. Okay, remember one of the principles we talked about on this daily checklist in the coaching. It's daily. You got to coach daily. It's part of what you do. You're a coach every single day. So, yeah, it's a miraculous things happen. We're all talking about it right here, right? You get a better relationship with the people that you're working with. You get to know them better. And when you get to know them better, you get to learn how to coach them better. Right? When you really understand how somebody learns, you can put it to them in a way that they get, right? I knew a guy, you had to tell him a story. It's almost like, you know, I got to tell you a story. Once there was a secret love. You know, you had to go all the way around the tree to get this guy to understand what it was you wanted him to understand. You couldn't just directly say to the guy, the cat's black. You had to paint this big story about the pretty kittens, and one of them was not white, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. But he learned that way, right? So you get to learn how they learn, and you know what? You become more effective. And you're putting emotional deposits in that account. And you know what? All of us as managers make inadvertent mistakes that pulls money out of that account. Right? we get a little cranky or something like that, or we say something a little terse,
Yeah, the way you present
right?
yourself.
Trust me, I know it.
Okay, and you pull money out of that account. If you don't have any money in that account, what is it?
No,
It's NSF. Anybody else have a report on coaching and counseling?
one thing I will have to say, I haven't been here in a couple of weeks in SLI. I've been absent. Certain things have happened, but just listening, what I'm taking away from this is it is the consistency of really monitoring, because I will admit, I'll be the first person to admit that every single day, I'm not monitoring a call from each agent. I'm doing a few of them on my key people, but from in here, it needs to be every single person, because you might think somebody's doing a great job. I mean, there's different examples and stuff, until you actually really listen to those calls. There's the people who you're even, maybe your top performers, maybe there's something that you can actually find in there to even help them even more. So, seriously, what I'm taking from just this little conversation that we're having right now is I really need to give every single person on my team the attention that maybe I'm just giving to maybe like 3 or 4 of the low performers, because everybody can always need help, and that will put a deposit into that emotional piggy bank, like you're saying.
I think like your well-performing agents, they need to be touched, but they don't need to be.
Yeah, you just
You don't
worry
need to
about
spend.
quality.
Yeah,
with them. That's
you're basically letting them know that you're there,
Yeah.
but you're not going to focus all your energies on.
Hopefully what you say to them is, hey, I monitored a call with you today with Mrs. Ferguson. Great job, man.
Still can't complain.
That was awesome. Now, we're building an onion here, and the onion is this part, and then later on, a couple of weeks from now, we're going to show you how to add people in your team to your coaching effort. We'll teach you how to do that.
Guys, again, we're building an onion here. In a week or two, we're going to tell you you need to monitor all your people 6 times a day. But for right now, we need you to monitor at least everyone 1 call to start with. Because here's what happens when you're coaching somebody, guys. And those of you who work for me, and especially at night, is how we used to do this. I'm monitoring Marco out of the headset, right? And I'm monitoring Jason with my ear, and I'm monitoring Steven with my eyes. I could see Steven's closing a sale. I don't know how he closed it. Good job, Steven. Way to get a sale. I heard Jason use a good tie down. Nice tie down, Jason. But I'm monitoring Marco and coaching him. So all 3 of them think I'm listening to them only. When in reality, I'm listening to all 3 of them. Now, if you have 12 people on your team, and you do that 4 times, starting off your shift, everyone thinks you're monitoring them. That's what you want. That's where you got to get to. But for right now, we need you to start monitoring everyone once. And then we're going to get to the nuances of how to coaching and counsel and motivate and develop your team. That's the priority. Coaching, counseling, motivating, and developing.
It's a wonderful tool, right? In that monitoring, it keeps you connected, and you know what's going south early. What's really shocking sometimes is you wait for the statistics to motivate you. You see somebody on the report that's down at the bottom 5 that shocks you. Should not shock you. You should not be surprised, right? You should catch that, right? If that report comes out on a Monday, you should have caught that last Monday, right? Because this stuff doesn't happen overnight. I mean, they'll hear something out there. Somebody will influence them. They'll run over a cat at home. There's something will happen to impact their emotions, their attitude, something, right? If you don't catch that, and the only way you can catch that is to be monitoring the calls. Like if somebody's going through the paces, you got to pull them off the floor and say, what are you doing? Man, you got to be there. You got to be engaged. You know, what are you thinking here? Tell me why you're not engaged with your customer, right? Does that make sense? I heard a call yesterday. The person will remain nameless, but the person said, hey, I can't decide between Dish and DirecTV. And they started talking about cable. Never got back to Dish or DirecTV. I'm going,
Hey, it's a top agent, guys. I wouldn't be laughing.
that rep wasn't engaged, right? They weren't there. Now, if you're listening to that, you'll catch that. If you don't listen for that, if you don't monitor, you won't catch it. Does that make sense? Anybody else have anything to say about that?
No.
Okay, let's talk about leadership. Everything starts with leadership, right? Review the daily checklist. You got to have a personal, professional attitude every single day. You got to start with one. There's no way in the world you can expect your people to have a great attitude if you don't. You need to identify the high priority tasks. High priority tasks are those tasks for you guys that drive sales. That's what a high priority task is. Okay? Doing a report for me, doing something for me, printing out something for me, doing something for Jerry, talking about somebody, that's really not a high priority task. High priority tasks are like goal achieving activities for salespeople. It's what drives sales, right? Whatever it is that drives sales, that's what we do for a living. We drive sales, right? We don't get paid for trying. We get paid for driving, right? So what that means is we got to focus on the high priority tasks that mean something. Every day you got to have a plan with goals that are actionable, you know. I want to grow hair today. Well, it's not going to be on your head, Brother Bear, or it could be on your head, but it's not going to be like on the top of your head, you know. It has to be an actionable goal, right? Does that make sense?
Yes.
At the start of each shift, check in with each rep to ensure preparedness, professional attitude, and daily goals. How you feeling today, brother? What are you going to do? What's your goal today for out on the floor? Huh?
Oh, 10 sales a day.
10 sales. How's that break down, man?
I always like to get at least 7 satellites and 3 DSLs without taking cable.
Awesome. That's awesome. Well, let's take a look at yesterday. Yesterday you did 6 and 4. That's 10. That's good. So you're going to get 7 and 10 today? Get you one more cable and make you feel better. Be 11. Does 11 sound good? All right, off we go. Just set a goal, right?
11 on a post-it note and throw it right on their monitor.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Okay. Here's the next one. Monitor each agent on at least one call during the shift, providing coaching, counseling, and feedback. If you just listen to them and you don't let them know you listen to them, you haven't done yourself any good. Hey, I listened to your call with Mrs. Galback. Excellent, excellent, excellent. The only issue that I heard in there is when you were giving her a price, you didn't use the word only. But other than that, you did fantastic, brother. So what's the price? What's the price? It's only $49.99, right? All right. Just a little coaching thing, right? Okay, congratulate and encourage positive accomplishments and behavior. Guys, not everybody comes to work simply for a paycheck. Not everybody's motivated just by a paycheck. You know, you reach down and pat somebody on the butt, figuratively, you know, the males, right? Pop them on the butt. Figuratively, I'm not saying doing it, just say, you did a great job today. You know, we're all from athletic background, right? What did the coach do? Hey, you did a good job, Harold. Woo! All right. Provide coaching and feedback for performance improvement. All right? You know, you got to stay on them. You got to stay on yourself. Identify high priority tasks for the next day and develop a success plan. And take personal time to get yourself better, right? Take personal time to grow. Right? Does it make sense? Okay, you got to have goals. Daily plan with actionable goals. You can never expect your agents to have goals if you don't. What I used to do is say, hey, my goal for us this month is a $1,250,000 in sales with a net profit of $400,000. Doug, what is your team going to do to contribute to that?
Oh, about 75% of it.
Awesome. I think I'm going fishing. Hey, how you going to get there, brother? Tell me how to get there, because I'm going to have my other managers do what you're doing.
A, B, C, and D. Here's my
Yeah.
outline.
Awesome.
Plan.
Go, Doug. You know what? Instead of that 10% bonus I'm going to give you at the end of the month, I'm going to go 15%. You hit this number, 15%. Is that good?
So, yeah, absolutely.
All right, I'll put that in an email to you in about 2 minutes, okay?
More than I was expecting, so.
Awesome. Well, let's get this done, man. Let's get this done. Woohoo! All right. Your agents need to know what your goals are and how they fit in your plan. I make it personal. My goal. I was bragging yesterday to Weaver, which is a mistake. He won't allow me to brag. And I said, we had 473 video sales in the last week. That's pretty damn good. He said, no, it ain't. We had 373 sales one day. You know, and so, hey, he takes it personal. You should take it personal. And you should set goals to drive your salespeople every day, right? Because what's your job?
Driving sales.
All right, there's the drive sales, right? There's a manager's checklist. All right. Any questions about that? Okay.
I got one thing before we go.
All right.
Are we gonna go to the video?
Yeah, I'm gonna go over.
Guys, when you're coaching agents, and we had a couple agents communicate this to us, and I know that it throws some of you off. But I'm just getting mostly service calls.
Oh boy.
Okay. All right. Does anybody know what the percentage is?
1, 3.
Probably 6%.
58% of our calls coming in here are phone book calls. Majority of those are going to be where the service calls are coming from. So when Marco says, I'm just taking service calls, oh, I understand that 58% of our calls are from phone books. And most of those are going to be customer service. I'm not talking about those. I'm talking about the other 40% that you missed, that somehow we didn't get. Those are the calls I'm talking about. See, they're always going to want to focus on what their perception is. Okay? We know there's service calls, and for you to say there ain't none, you're screwing up.
I know we discussed this before, and it's in the same note. So
That's how I used to coach you guys, right?
There was a
I
time-
understand that, but we're not talking about that.
there was a
Oh, the
month
ones that-
similar to this month where people say, "Oh, there's more service calls than ever," and it went in a weird way because I got a call from Pamela late one night, and she was like, "Mark, I want you to guess a number. I want you to guess how many people called us only this month and bought elsewhere." And I said, "I don't know, 60." She was like, "No, it was like 300 and something, almost 400." And I instantaneously, right then and there, I knew these guys were missing lots of opportunity and only focusing on the negative and not giving those other 40% the attention they needed and deserved. And I said, "Oh, I'm not willing to really buy that anymore." The whole service call thing. After that, I knew it was bullshit.
If the advertising is right, next week you guys got 750,000 calls coming this way. Pieces dropping.
That'll be good.
Okay.
So,
Guys, let me
Fair.
go over something that's statistical probability, right? Distribution curve, right? And it's really a bell curve, just like sales, right? So roughly speaking, 20% of the calls are gold. 20%, we're going to call them not gold, right? And then the rest of them are a mix of pretty good, not so good, right? But you got, don't want these. Everybody wants one of those, right? Okay, if there's 5 of us here and we take 1,000 calls from the 5 of us, I'm willing to bet you money that when we charted out the really bad calls, the really good calls, and everything, it would look just like this. So statistically, everybody will get those. There may be a day when you get nothing but gold. Woohoo! Good day, right? There may be a day you get a lot of not gold, right? But most days, you get a little of this, a little of that, and some of that. Right? Does everybody agree with me or not? So when you talk to them, you say, hey, I understand this is a numbers game to a certain extent, and we're playing statistics. You're going to get some good calls today. What I want you to do is focus on the good calls and really do a great job. You're going to get some calls that are not gold or you don't think they're gold. I want you to try to turn them into gold. If you turn them into gold, guess what? You get the gold, right? What do you think the biggest goal was in the Middle Ages? Turn lead into gold, right? If you can find a way to turn a metal that's not worth much into a metal that's worth a lot, that's pretty cool. So your salespeople need to be gold miners, right? You get a call, you get somebody, I call an Againit. You ever talk to an Againit? Hi, sir, this is Brew Harrell with the $1 Million Countdown. You just won $1 million. How come I didn't win the $2 million prize? I wanted to win the $2 million prize. My cousin won the $20 million prize last year. Sir, you just won $1 million. I know, but I could have won the $2 million prize. Not me. I'm going, woo! $1 million bucks. Woohoo! Gary, we're going to Japan. I'm excited, right? Okay. What you got to do is you got to turn those against into gold people, right? Does everybody understand what I'm going with this? Please do.
I've been preaching this little this idea. What if the phones don't ring? What are you going to do as a salesman? What are you going to do?
Make outbound calls to your referrals and leads.
Well, and that's what professional salesmen do. I don't want to hear complaints about service calls. What I want to see is you being a professional, going through your callbacks, setting good callbacks, good rapport, getting referrals, all of that. That's the kind of team I want. That has more ammo, more than just one shot at their target.
How does Matt Deal get to 28% close rate?
That's exactly right. Follows up.
He takes the fewest calls in the company and has the most sales in the company. People just cannot make the connection.
It's very
So
simple.
bill calls are worthless. It's not going to do anything for me.
It's
no
crazy.
idea what you're doing.
It irks me whenever I see people at 10 minutes.
Hey, you guys, seriously, if you look at the daily reports, if you track Matt daily, just
He takes 7 or 8 calls a day.
if you track him daily, but here's what I would tell you though. On Matt, the inbound calls are good. He knows when they're not good, that's what else make it is outbounds.
That's called professional.
It's instantaneous. You know what? Whenever there's no calls out there, there's 2 people out there I never hear mentioned. Mark and Matt. They just pick up the phone and dial out. Follow up on the
That's what
referrals.
you do. That's what professionals
That's right.
do.
That's why in training we teach them sales is nothing but this. If you're going to be a professional in this business, that's what it is. Some days you have good days, some days you have bad days. What your objective is to kind of level it out. How do you level it out is if you have a good funnel, sales funnel, so when you're down in the dumps, because I'm going to be direct with you. I did referral marketing so that when I was down in the dumps, I could bring myself up, feel good about myself, because now I'm calling a referral that I'm definitely going to close.
That's just around.
It's kind of like keeping it in your back pocket for when I don't feel good about myself. Sometimes when I don't feel good about myself, I take out my Marine Corps medals and lay them out. Okay? Then I feel good about myself. You know what I'm saying? It's the same thing. You guys do the same thing when you're depressed, you're down. You do something to feel good about yourself. Well, a professional goes into his referrals because now he knows it's a confidence. I get my 3 referrals closed, now I get back.
I heard this one saying one time, you can't give a man hope, give him something to do. Give him some activity, man.
That's true.
Give him some work.
That's true. Okay. Management, right, is a daily deal, but the way that you stay in contact with your salespeople is you stay in contact with your daily checklist. Then once a week you have a brief weekly meeting with them. And that weekly meeting is different than your daily coaching. And that's to kind of look at the week's performance, right? On a day-to-day coaching, you really can't see that big picture as well. But once a week you sit down with them and you say, hey, let's review your performance and let's take a look at your plan to make sure that we're moving in the direction you want to move in. Does that make sense? So here we go, the weekly meeting. Make it all about improving sales performance of the individual in the company. It's not about anything else. It's about improving performance. Should always be done belly to belly if possible. It's not something you do on the phone, not something you do on a email or hip chat. It's belly to belly, eyeball to eyeball. Why? Because you're connecting with them in a really important way. Keep the meeting short and upbeat. All right? Hey, loser, come on in here. I'm going to talk about how crummy you did last week. All right? Ask questions and be open to what the rep has to say. You're going to see an example of this today when I did one with Callie this week, and you're going to see that I don't do a lot of talking, right? And that's the way you're supposed to do it. Always end the meeting on a positive note. Okay, notes for the meeting. Provide recognition as appropriate. Do a performance review, previous week, 30-day, and year-to-date, and you'll see how this works. Review and compare most recent 7-day report to previous 7-day. This doesn't take a lot of time, guys. Assess their attitude, commitment, and effectiveness to the sales agent. You know, you're in there, you're talking to them, you know what's going on. Are they there with you? Are they engaged with the meeting? Are they excited? Are they there because they have to be there and they just can't wait to get away from you so they can do what they want to do? Okay? Discuss strategies for improving sales performance. All about sales performance improvement. That's all it is. And then discuss strategies for improving sales performance. And there's some questions we're going to ask. Review the agent marketing plan. Review the personal development plan. And they should have a personal development plan, right? And I'll explain that as we go. Communicate weekly promotions, programs, specials, spiffs, and bonuses. This is a great time to say, hey, you're aware that this week we're going to be focusing on this, and this is what the promotion looks like. Here's how you can work it to your benefit. Does that make sense? Okay, review and revisit weekly, monthly, and sales goals and expectations. And then obtain commitment. The last thing you do is say, hey, here's the plan. We think it'll work for you. You're the one that developed it. Are you committed to executing this plan in a positive way for over the next 7 days? Yes, I am. You know, I'm really proud of you. See you next week.
Yeah, exactly.
Right? Okay, so let's take a look at this and see what that looks like. Hey, Callie, how you doing?
I'm good, Brew. How about you?
I'm doing fantastic. Listen, we're going to do our weekly one-on-one today. Take about 10, 12 minutes, and we're going to talk a little bit about your performance the last couple of weeks, last month. And we're going to try to figure out those things that you're doing well and those things that we really need to work on to help you get where you want to be. I know if that's okay with you.
Sure, definitely.
Is that all right?
Yeah, definitely.
So let's start off with how do you think you're doing?
I think that I'm doing okay. I think that I still would like to do better. Or I know that I can do better, I guess.
Okay. All right. Well, let's look at the 7-day report. If you'll notice that you moved up from 24th place to 16th place in just the last 7 days. And I would say that's excellent. That's the right direction and trend. I also say that you're in the top third of all the salespeople in the company over the last 7 days, and I think that's excellent. And when we look at the 30-day report, you'll also notice that you're number 10 out of 47, which is a really excellent place to be. So we've got some positive things to talk about. Okay.
Okay, that's good.
So when we look at the report, there's a couple of things that we want to sort of focus on. If you bring your attention to it,
Sure.
your closing percentage is 10.71%.
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that?
Well, I think it could definitely be higher. I always strive to stay above 10. So I'm not unhappy, but it could definitely be higher.
What is your goal for yourself as a closing percentage?
As a closing percentage, I would say on a 7-day, I would like it to usually be somewhere between 12 and 14%.
Okay. You know, we would expect someone with your experience level to do anywhere from 14 to 15%. So I think that's within the range. So that's pretty good. So what it is, what is it that you think you need to do to be able to increase that percentage?
Well, I think I need to get some of my gusto back from a couple of weeks ago, definitely.
Right.
I think I kind of fell off a little bit in the past week or so.
What happened a couple of weeks ago that's different from today?
We had a contest going on where there was a money incentive, win $600 for whoever sold the most dish sales.
Okay. All right, so it was a contest where there was competition and then there was a $600 that you could get paid, right?
Yes.
Okay, so that excited you and you got you pretty focused?
Yes, it did.
Okay. What if we were able to develop a plan that sort of gave you sort of internal competition and showed you a way where you can make an additional $600 a week? Would that be something that you think would keep you focused?
Definitely.
Okay. Well, we'll talk about that. And basically, how many sales do you think it would take, Dish TV sales under the commission program that we have, to get you $600?
About 10.
10? Okay. All right. So if we could get you additional 10 sales a week, that would get you additional $600. So basically what we need to do is set up a competition with yourself to be able to do a little better than you did the day before, with the result that at the end of the week you pay yourself an additional $600. How does that sound?
That sounds good to me.
Okay. So how would our plan look? How would we get that focus back? How would you do that?
I think that by sitting in your seat and staying available and getting your attitude right, I
Okay.
think that has a lot to do with it.
Okay. Whereas, you know, in class, we always talk about attitude first because it informs everything that you do, right?
It does.
So the more you believe, the better you do, right?
Yes.
Okay. Let's also talk, if you look at the report, you'll notice on the cross-selling, you didn't have any sales. You know, cross-selling is when you get an internet call and you end up with a video sale. And you didn't get it. Do you want to share with me why you think that that's happened?
You know, I'm really not sure because I've been focusing a lot on the cross-selling, and so I'm kind of surprised by that number, but that is something that I've been working on.
Okay. Are you treating the internet calls differently than you're treating the video calls?
I definitely do think that I could use probably a little more discovery in my internet to try and cross-sell back over to Dish. I hadn't really probably worked all those angles 100%.
I'm going to make a couple of suggestions to you. The first one is, I think you should treat every call the same, and you should use the script. I also think that you should assume every single call you get is a Hopper Joey Dish sale. And you sort of start from that point of view and have your customer tell you that they really want to have internet. Can you see where that might be something that keeps you focused on the cross-selling, also keeps you focused on selling those products?
Oh, definitely. I mean, especially with the Hopper Joey, and I mean, with what you sell, you could be speaking with someone and they're calling in thinking that you're providing internet. 1 out of 10, it might only be that one. They could get excited, and you could actually give somebody something that they wanted that they didn't even know was an option for them when they called in. So.
Okay. Other than those two things we're talking about, what other things do you see as barriers to your improving your sales performance?
Well, I think that I should probably be focusing more on my referrals and how to pick those up a little bit.
Okay.
And what I've been doing is I will ask for it in the disclosures, and then I always call back my customers when they get installed just to make sure that they're happy and everything's going well, and I'll re-ask, but I'm not asking specifically for names, and I'm obviously doing something that's not 100% effective because I don't just have a ton of referrals for it.
Okay, so it's not working as well for you as you'd like for it, and you feel like you're not asking them directly for a referral. Okay, I think that's probably a good suggestion. I think you need to write that as part of your plan as well. And what we need to do is make sure that you're asking directly for a referral. Mr. Customer, I'm so glad that you're happy with the service. I wonder if I could get you to give me a referral. You mentioned that when we did the sale originally, that I would be able to give you $50 when I sold somebody who was a friend of yours. So if you have anybody in your circle of friends that might be able to benefit from my product or service. So that's good. That's real positive. So I like that. Are you writing thank you cards?
No, I haven't been.
Okay.
I've been doing emails, but not actual cards.
As you and I have discussed during our times together, and also in class, everybody has an account system, and we need to put what we call emotional currency into that account. There's no better way of doing that with a customer than to write a thank you card. Now, a lot of people write emails, but email is a relatively easy thing to do, so it doesn't mean as much to the customer. So writing a thank you note might set them up to be able to be more receptive to you about the referrals when you ask directly. How's that sound?
Yeah, no, definitely. It's something tangible that they can actually touch and feel.
Okay. All right. So let's talk a little bit about where you are in your financial plan. I know we talked several months ago about what you'd like to make on an annual basis. How do you feel about where you are on that?
I'm definitely, I would like for it to get more consistent. I think that, as I had mentioned, you know, I was on the big up because of the contest, and then now I'm a little bit down. I'd like to create a way that I could, you know, have it pretty steady, so I would know what to anticipate on a week-to-week basis.
So how do you think you might do that?
Getting a consistent, my sales consistent, and getting them up.
Okay. So what would be the plan for that? How would you approach that on a daily basis?
I guess just trying to focus every day on, either not necessarily one more sale, but trying to do something where I'm either spending more time in my seat or focusing on my attitude, just trying to do those little tweaks where just to get that one extra sale or just to try a little that much harder.
Okay.
And so that I knew at the end of the day that I worked as hard as I could to reach that.
You know what's interesting about sales, Callie, is it always works back to attitude.
Mm-hmm.
The attitude just informs everything we do so strongly that it's your attitude that really gets you the sales that you get. So being able to focus, and something you said earlier about being able to serve the customer really is a part of that attitude. It's really positive. So that sounds great. So that needs to be a part of our plan as well. So I think we mentioned attitude.
Mm-hmm.
I think we mentioned cross-selling. I think we mentioned the competition with ourselves and the $600 weekly payoff. And I think we also talked a little bit about our referrals, making sure that that's okay. You and I set up a personal development plan for you a couple of months ago, where you were going to read several books and really start building a foundation. I know that you have a desire to move into the training department.
Yes.
We talked about having that foundation that you need to have to be a good trainer. How's that going?
It's going pretty well. It helps that at home, Dave's kind of going through the same thing where his work's encouraging him to do the same, so it helps to have someone to reflect after reading the materials, and we're going through a Jordan Belfort training, actually, a video series, and we just started it, but it does help to have someone to bounce those ideas off of and kind of talk about after you read the material so that it stays fresh with you, or I guess it sinks in more, so that's been kind of nice.
So, Jerry Weaver, the other trainer, says that if you really want to become an expert in anything, teach someone.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's good advice.
Yeah, I think that's really excellent. So let's recap and let's talk about what we can do to improve your sales performance over the next week and the next 30 days. Why don't you recap your plan from basically what we talked about?
Okay, well, I know that for sure we're trying to get me even further up here,
Right.
definitely. And, really, it is going to come back to focusing on the attitude, as I was mentioning, the gusto from before. I just need to focus on getting back there. And always assuming the sale and treating it like you're getting a hopper joy is definitely the way to go about it. I think
following the script is really important.
Oh, yes, definitely. I really do follow the script. I just don't think that on some calls I'm as aggressive as I should be.
Okay, all right.
And keeping my closing percentage up above, definitely above 10, but you're right, it probably should be closer to 15. And just sitting, making sure that I'm focusing. And then the referrals also, really trying to put a little extra effort into those to get those numbers up, because that's a big deal.
One of the interesting things about referrals is that they come through outbound calls.
Mm-hmm.
And when you really look at closing percentage, those sales that you get, really when they're calculated against your inbound calls, your closing percentage goes up pretty dramatically. So that's real positive.
No, it
so
is.
all in all, I think we have a good plan. And I just want to let you know that I'm very proud of you. I think that you're on track to be where you want to be. I think the things that you talked about today, where you really focus on these elements, will help you stay focused. So I hope that you have a fantastic day.
Thank you.
And a fantastic week, and we'll talk again next week.
All right. I will have a good day. Thanks. Bye.
All right. So discussion. How do you think it went, Jason?
I think you went very well. There's a definite flow to your discussion. Like you said, how do you think you were doing? You ask questions, you listen, see how you think they're doing. You were asking, how do you feel about that? Where you're at, where do you want to be? You're setting goals. You're asking them, how can you improve? You're asking them, you're making them make decisions on how they want to move forward. I noticed that you listened, you're very calm during the entire conversation. You made a lot of suggestions. You make a plan. I like the part about your annual goal. You make themselves take ownership of where they want to be in their life as far as their job. They can be consistent with it. You focus on the attitude. Attitude's the first thing right there, and the focus. Towards the end, you recapped it, make them hold to their goals, and you definitely ended on a positive note. It had a good flow to it. It was a good conversation. There was nothing negative about it. It was all upbeat the entire time, and you were helping them build upon themselves and making them be a better person.
Now, to be fair, that was a pretty good scenario. I mean, Callie's not a bottom 5 person, you know. When you're in with a bottom 5 person, it's a little more difficult to be upbeat. But you have to be upbeat, right? Right? You have to be honest. Yep. You have to be direct. You know, there's an elephant in the room. An elephant in the room. It's a big, large creature. And that's when you're in the bottom 5, you know. You can ignore the elephant in the room if you want to, but it's still an elephant in the room, right? What'd you think, Doc?
It was pretty methodical.
What made you giggle?
Oh, I like the way when you ask people, like, how does that sound? It's a Brewism. I've come to learn that this is the way that you operate. It's effective, and it's just, I mean,
It's a Brewism.
It is.
It's actually called a tie now.
Yeah, when I hear it, it's a happy thing. So.
It's a Brewism. All right.
It was good stuff.
I mean, I agree with you, man. I like the way that it flowed. I've seen a lot of positive things where you actually were leaving it to them. What would you like to make? And I think there's a lot of motivation in that. I just see a real positive way to do that.
Well, you have to make it all about them. And if you're talking, it's not all about them. It's all about you, right? So if I sat down with you and I said, Khalil, here's the things you need to do, buddy. You need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to do that, you need to do that, and you get rid of that hat. You understand me? And then you need to do that, the shirt, and that, and that, and that, and that. About the third that, you're going, you know, like, yeah, get away from me. You get any closer, I'm going to punch you, you know, and you've lost them, right? So what does it say, a weekly meeting, right? It's all about who?
The agent.
It's all about the agent's sales performance, right? So if you're talking, who's it about?
It's about you.
If you're talking, it's about you. If they're talking, who's it about? Right? So if you'll notice, what do you think the percentage of me talking in that 13-minute film was?
25.
Maybe. Maybe. And I probably overspoke because I was trying to illustrate some points for you guys, right? You let Callie, because Callie knows. I don't have to go up to Callie if she's had a bad week and say, Callie, you had a bad week. She doesn't need me to say that. She knows that, you know. So the only thing I need her to do is say, hey, Callie, we're not where we need to be. What are we going to do about getting where we need to be? Shut up and let Callie explain, because she knows. She knows what she needs to do. She's smart to start with, and she's had good training. It's not like they don't know what to do, right? Sometimes there's some reality dissonance. Their reality isn't quite the same reality as you're observing, right? And you have to kind of get in there and twist it a little bit. And there have been a few of these in my life that didn't go well, you know, and that's just a part of being a manager. It's not like I intended it for it not to go well. It's just that there was just not anything to work with there, and the other person was really hostile towards being coached. What do you do, right? This was absolutely demanded in my sales organizations that I managed. My managers met every single week with everybody on a one-on-one. If they didn't, I needed to know why. Right? And I was crazy about that because it's such an important way to help keep people on track. Right? It's different than the daily. Right? You don't spend 13 minutes on a daily thing with somebody, right? A daily meeting. You just don't. You know, you just don't do that. But that is once a week, and it becomes a pleasant thing. I guarantee you, Callie would not mind sitting down a week from now and us talk about, well, how'd your week go? What are the things you were able to accomplish? What did you do that was different? Let's take a look at your results. Let's see what happened. She'd be perfectly okay with having that conversation based on that, right? And then you just tweak. Oh, that's working real well. Let's keep doing that. This doesn't seem to be working as well. What are we gonna do about that? See, I've been doing this a long time. Weaver's been doing this a long time. We know what you should be doing. Just like you guys as soups know what they should be doing. But it doesn't do you any good to say, listen, Jason, you need to do this, 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 and that. A, Jason wants you to tell him that. And B, he already knows that. So what you say is, Jason, what do you think you need to do? I need to do this, this, and that. I go, those are great points. Another suggestion I have is, right? So I didn't say do this, do this, do this, and that. I just said, and you notice, I didn't tell her what she needed to do. I said, I've got a couple of suggestions. Why do I use that language?
It's not an order.
Yeah,
It's
just
more
it's,
comfortable to accept.
This is my advice, kind of.
Yeah.
You need to be doing this.
You stick your finger metaphorically or physically in somebody's face and you're going to get nothing. Absolutely nothing. Nobody likes this, right? I never liked it from my dad or anybody else in the Marine Corps or anybody else, right? So you don't do that because you instantly turn them off. Instantly. Just like that, okay? Was it positive? Okay? From the start to the finish, right? And you'll notice a little subtle thing, I asked for permission to do it. Little subtle thing, right? There was no forcing anybody to do anything. I asked for permission. Did the rep receive and respond to the messages in the meeting? What do you think, Callie? You were the rep.
I think so. I feel like because of what you had said about the suggestions, and your just total tone throughout the entire thing was setting me up to receive the information well. I mean, I think if you go into it with that mindset, then
Well articulated.
thanks.
Seriously.
It's all about them improving their self-performance, right? It's not about you showing them how much you know about sales. That's not the time to do that. And unfortunately, sometimes people's egos get involved and they want to go, well, let me tell you all I know about sales. That's not what you do in these meetings because you'll turn them off, right? And the last thing you want to do is turn them off. You want to turn them on, right? You want to turn them on. You want them to be excited, fired up, ready to go. Okay, everybody missed that reference. Okay, what could the soup have done better? Oh, did the rep receive? What could the soup have done better?
Soup.
I was the soup. What could I have done better?
I thought it was very thorough. You were polite, and not only did you get feedback, but you allowed her to curate her own structure of how she's going to accomplish her personal goal. You let her set her personal goal as well, so it was fairly complete, and it was a mutual exchange there. I thought it was pretty good. Yeah. I don't see. I personally don't see room for improvement, but.
I saw several things I could have done better.
I think if we were more the experts, we'd probably be at this
Yeah.
point, but as...
I mean, you mentioned
As the
speaking
students
less,
in the
but
class.
I thought it was pretty cool regardless.
I could have been more detailed. I needed to be more detailed. I needed to have her be more detailed. It was too general a plan. It didn't really have specific goals.
It's just a mock scenario.
Yeah.
You don't be so.
But what did you get out of this? What do you get out of this? What's the totality of the message here?
Just stay positive. Don't never go into, I missed some of it. What I call was never go into a conversation negative. Come out with a positive attitude. Have an open ear. Always be able to listen to the agent. And let them give their own feedback and see how that would work for them before you start coming up with your own suggestions.
What's a similar process to this meeting thing? What's a similar process? Sales, right? It's all about selling them on doing a better job that they know how to do, right? It's just bringing their awareness to the surface, right? It's getting them to admit they're making mistakes. It's getting them to admit they could do better, and this is how they intend to do better. And you avoid the metaphorical finger, right? Because whenever we start lecturing, what happens? right? Unless you're a professor of some history class. And you know what? I used to turn off in those classes too.
Guys, another thing is your words mean a lot. Just like in your sales presentation. Instead of saying, Marco, why did you do that? Say, Marco, could you help me understand what happened here?
I've made some mistakes in there.
Or Marco, how do you think we could have done that differently? Or Marco, are you happy with the result that you got?
When you say why, people are automatically defensive. Oh, he's attacking me.
Yeah.
Even though it may not be true, just the word.
Basic discussion, wasn't it? All right, so the discussion, right? Homework. Here's your homework, guys. Conduct one-on-one meetings with everybody on your team. And you know what? You're not going to be perfect. It's not going to be perfect. But follow the notes that I gave you and just use those as guideposts and takes you right through the conversation. You hit each one of those elements, you'll do fine. Does that make sense? Okay. The next one is report to the class on how it went. Okay?
I got a meeting to go to right now. My own team.
All right, man.
I got to prepare. I only got a few minutes.
Yeah, no problem. Hey, listen, guys, that is week 14. What's next? Next week, what we're doing now is we're doing the practical aspects of management, and we're just going to dig a little deeper and a little deeper and a little deeper, and we're going to really start talking about how to correct behavior in a slightly different way. Right? Make sense?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Awesome.
Okay, thank you very much. Thanks for being here.